Hello, and welcome to Slow Stories. Today, we have a quiet little story about apartment life. It is about a young woman named Clara. Clara lives alone in a small flat. One day, strange noises start coming from the flat above her. Let's find out what happens. Clara lived on the third floor of an old apartment building. The building had 5 floors and thin walls. Clara liked her flat. It was small, but it felt like home. She had a green sofa, a small kitchen, and a window that looked out at the street. She lived there alone, and she liked the quiet. But one Tuesday evening, something changed. Clara was sitting on her sofa, reading a book. Then she heard it. A thump. A thump, that is a heavy, dull sound, like something falling on the floor. She looked up at the ceiling. The ceiling is the top surface of the room, above your head. She looked at it and waited. Thump, thump, thump. 3 more thumps came from above. Clara put her book down. She felt annoyed. Annoyed means a little angry, not happy about something. She was annoyed because the noise was loud. She tried to ignore it. To ignore something means to choose not to pay attention to it. She picked up her book again. She tried to ignore the thumping. But the thumps kept coming. Clara looked at the ceiling again. She knew the flat above hers was empty. It had been empty for 2 months. The old tenant had moved away in March. A tenant is a person who pays money to live in a flat. The old tenant was a quiet man named Mr. Bauer. Mr. Bauer was never a problem. But now, someone new was in his flat. And this new tenant was not quiet. Clara felt annoyed. She tried once more to ignore the noise. She could not. The thumping continued for another hour. Then, at last, it stopped. Clara put her book down and went to bed. But she did not sleep well. She kept thinking about the thumps in the ceiling. So, in this section, Clara heard thumps in her ceiling. She felt annoyed, but she tried to ignore the noise. She did not know who the new tenant above her was. The next morning, Clara woke up early. She needed to go to work. She worked at a small office near the river. She got dressed, picked up her bag, and opened her front door. She stepped into the hallway. The hallway is the long passage that connects all the flats on one floor. The hallway in her building was narrow and a little dark. Clara walked toward the stairs. Then she stopped. The door of the flat above, flat number 7, was open. No, wait. Flat number 7 was not above Clara. The flat directly above Clara was flat number 9. The door of flat number 9 was open. A woman stood in the doorway. She was elderly. Elderly means old, used in a polite way. The woman had white hair and wore a blue cardigan. She was trying to carry a large cardboard box. The box looked very heavy. Clara stopped walking. The woman saw Clara and smiled. The situation felt a little awkward. Awkward means uncomfortable, not easy or natural. Clara was still a little annoyed from last night. But the woman's smile was warm. Clara walked over. "Hello," Clara said. "Can I help you with that box?" The woman looked relieved. "Oh, yes, please," she said. "I am so sorry. I know I am a terrible neighbor already." Clara felt the awkward feeling again. She was not sure what to say. "I am Nina," the woman said. This was the moment to introduce herself. To introduce yourself, means to tell someone your name for the first time. Clara introduced herself. I am Clara. I live in the flat below yours. Nina's face changed. She looked embarrassed. Oh dear, Nina said. Then you heard all that noise last night. I must apologize. To apologize means to say sorry. Nina apologized again. I am so sorry, she said. I was moving furniture. I could not sleep, so I moved things around at night. I know, it was not a good idea. Clara looked at Nina. Nina was elderly, and she was alone. She had moved into a new flat and could not sleep. The awkward feeling in Clara slowly disappeared. A small part of Clara still felt annoyed, but a bigger part of her felt something else. She was not sure what it was yet. Let me help you with the box, Clara said. And she did. In this section, Clara met her new neighbor. The neighbor was an elderly woman named Nina. Nina apologized for the noise. The meeting felt awkward at first, but then it became friendlier. Clara helped Nina carry the box inside flat 9. The flat was full of boxes. There were boxes everywhere. On the floor, on the table, even on the sofa. The flat felt cold and unfamiliar. Unfamiliar means not known before, strange and new. When you move to a new place, everything feels unfamiliar at first. Clara set the box down near the window. She looked around the room. You just moved in yesterday, Clara asked. Yes, said Nina. I arrived in the afternoon. My son drove me here, then he had to go back. Nina looked around her flat. She looked at all the boxes. For a moment, she looked lonely. Lonely means sad because you have no company. Clara recognized that look. She had felt lonely herself when she first moved into her flat. Nina smiled again, but it was a tired smile. Would you like a cup of tea? Nina asked. She offered Clara tea. To offer something means to say to someone that they can have it. Clara hesitated. To hesitate means to pause before you do something. Clara hesitated because she needed to go to work. She looked at her watch. She still had a little time. Yes, please, Clara said, a quick one. Nina looked happy. She found her kettle under a small pile of clothes. She laughed a little. I packed very badly, she said. Clara laughed too. Nina made 2 cups of tea. They sat on boxes because the chairs were not unpacked yet. Sitting on boxes and drinking tea felt a little silly. But it also felt nice. It felt like comfort. Comfort is a warm, safe feeling, something that makes you feel better. Clara felt a small sense of comfort, even in this messy, unfamiliar flat. Nina told Clara a little about herself. She was 71 years old. She had lived in a house in a small town for 40 years. But her husband died last year. The house felt too big and too lonely after that. So her son found this flat for her. It was closer to him, closer to the city. I am not lonely here yet, Nina said. I do not have time to be. I have too many boxes. She laughed. Clara laughed too. But she saw the lonely look in Nina's eyes again. Clara finished her tea. As she stood up, I have to go to work, she said, but I will come back after work. I can help you unpack a little if you want. Nina looked surprised. Then she smiled, a real warm smile this time. That would be very kind, Nina said. Clara went to work. She thought about Nina for most of the morning. In this section, Clara and Nina had tea together in the unfamiliar new flat. Nina told Clara that she moved because she felt lonely in her old house. Clara offered to come back and help Nina unpack. Clara came home at 6 o'clock in the evening. She stopped at the shop near the building. She bought some bread, some butter, and a small plant. The plant was green with little white flowers. Clara carried everything upstairs. She knocked on the door of flat 9. Nina opened the door quickly. "You came back," Nina said. She sounded surprised and happy. "I said I would," Clara said. She gave Nina the plant. "A new flat needs something living in it," Clara said. Nina held the little plant carefully. "It is lovely," she said. "Thank you." Nina looked grateful. Grateful means feeling thankful, happy that someone helped you. Her eyes were a little wet, but she smiled. They began to unpack. To unpack means to take things out of boxes and put them in their places. Unpacking boxes together is actually quite interesting. Each box holds someone's life. Nina's boxes held books, cups, photographs, and small colorful things. Clara picked up a photograph. It showed a younger Nina with a man. They were standing in a garden. They were laughing. "That is my husband, Georg," Nina said. She said his name softly. "He had a very loud laugh," she added. "The neighbors always knew when Georg was happy." Clara smiled. She put the photograph carefully on the shelf. Nina placed the little plant next to it. For a moment, they both looked at the shelf. The photograph and the plant looked right there. They looked familiar. Familiar means something you know well, something that feels comfortable. A place starts to feel familiar when your own things are in it. They kept unpacking. Nina told stories. Stories about Georg, about her son, about the little town she came from. She talked about her memories. A memory is something you remember from the past. She had many good memories. But she also had the memory of coming home to an empty house. That was the hard memory. Clara listened. She did not talk very much. She just listened and handed Nina cups and books and small things from the boxes. By 8 o'clock, most of the big boxes were empty. The flat looked different now. It looked less unfamiliar. Nina stood in the middle of her living room and looked around. "It is starting to feel like somewhere I belong," she said. To belong somewhere means to feel like you are in the right place. Nina smiled. Not a tired smile. A real one. Clara felt something warm in her chest. She was glad she came back. In this section, Clara came back after work to help Nina unpack. She brought Nina a small plant. Nina shared memories about her husband. By the end of the evening, the flat started to feel familiar and like a place where Nina could belong. 2 weeks passed. Clara and Nina saw each other often in the hallway. They smiled and said good morning. Sometimes Nina knocked on Clara's door with a piece of cake. Nina baked very good apple cake. Clara sometimes brought Nina coffee from the good coffee shop near work. It was a nice, simple routine. Then one Thursday evening, something went wrong. Clara was in her kitchen. She heard a strange sound. Drip, drip, drip. A drip is when small drops of water fall slowly. She looked up at the kitchen ceiling. There was a wet patch, and a small drip of water came down. Drip, drip. Clara put a bowl under the drip. She looked at the bowl and thought. The kitchen above hers was Nina's kitchen. Clara went upstairs and knocked on Nina's door. Nina opened the door. She looked embarrassed. Embarrassed means uncomfortable, a little ashamed, worried about what someone thinks. Nina looked very embarrassed. I know, Nina said. I am so sorry. I think it is my kitchen tap. It started this evening. Clara went inside. She looked at Nina's kitchen tap. Water was leaking from the base of the tap. Leaking slowly. It was going through the floor and into Clara's ceiling. It is not your fault, Clara said. Your fault means the responsibility for something bad. It is an old building. These things happen, but we should call the landlord. Nina looked uncertain. I do not know how to do that yet, Nina said. I only just got here. I do not know the landlord's number. Clara helped. She called the building's landlord. The landlord said he would send someone the next morning. In the meantime, they needed to stop the drip. Clara looked at the tap. She turned the water off under the sink. The drip in her ceiling stopped. You will not have water in your kitchen tonight, Clara said. You can use mine if you need to. Nina looked grateful again. I do not know how I would manage without you, Nina said. To manage means to succeed in doing something difficult. I think I would not manage here at all on my own. Clara shook her head. You would manage, she said, but it is easier together. Nina smiled. Yes, she said, it is. They were not embarrassed anymore. The problem was not so bad. They managed it together. That night, Clara put a bucket under the wet patch in her ceiling. A bucket is a round, open container for holding water. Just in case. She could hear Nina moving around above her. But this time, the sound did not annoy her. It was almost a comfort. In this section, Nina's kitchen tap leaked, and water dripped into Clara's flat. Clara did not think it was Nina's fault. They solved the problem together. Clara realized that hearing Nina move around above her did not bother her anymore. A month after Nina moved in, it was a Sunday morning. Clara woke up slowly. Sundays were her favorite day. No work, no alarm, just quiet. She made coffee and stood by her window. The street below was calm. A man walked his dog. A child rode a small bicycle. Clara looked at the neighborhood. The neighborhood is the area around where you live. She had lived in this neighborhood for 3 years. But she did not know many people in it. She knew the man at the post office. She knew the woman in flat 3 who always said hello. But not many more. Then she heard a knock at her door. She opened it. Nina stood there. She held a plate covered with a cloth. Apple cake, Nina said. I made it this morning. I always bake on Sundays. It was my routine at home, and I decided to keep it. A routine is the regular things you do, often at the same time. Nina kept her Sunday baking routine in her new home. Clara let her in. They sat at Clara's small kitchen table. They ate apple cake and drank coffee. They talked about small things. The weather, the neighborhood, the building. Then Nina said something. Can I ask you something, Clara? Of course, Clara said. Do you ever feel lonely here? Clara looked at her coffee cup. She thought for a moment. She had to admit something. To admit means to say something true, even when it is a little difficult. Sometimes, Clara said, Yes, sometimes I do. Nina nodded. I noticed that, Nina said. To notice something means to see or become aware of it. I noticed that you live alone and you are often very quiet down there. Sometimes I think of you. Clara looked up. She was surprised. You think of me, she said. Yes, said Nina. You were kind to me. I notice kindness. And I think kind people sometimes need kindness too. Clara did not know what to say. She felt something open up a little inside her. Something like a connection. A connection is a feeling of being close to someone, a bond. It was a small connection, but it was real. I am glad you moved in, Clara said. She admitted it simply. I am glad too, said Nina. They sat quietly for a moment. Not an awkward quiet. A comfortable quiet. Outside, the neighborhood went on. The dog walker came back. A bus passed. But at Clara's little kitchen table, everything felt still and warm. It felt like a Sunday morning should feel. Nina cut another piece of apple cake. She put it on Clara's plate without asking. Clara smiled. She did not say anything. She did not need to. In this section, Nina brought apple cake on a Sunday morning. They talked about the neighborhood and about loneliness. Clara admitted she sometimes felt lonely. Nina said she noticed Clara's kindness. They felt a real connection, small but true. 3 months passed. Nina settled into flat 9. To settle means to start to feel at home, to become comfortable. She settled slowly. First, the boxes disappeared. Then she bought a small table for the balcony. Then she put flowers in the window. The flat above Clara was no longer empty and cold. It was Nina's home now. Clara noticed the changes. She noticed that Nina's light was on every evening. She noticed the smell of apple cake on Sunday mornings. She noticed that she always listened, just for a moment when she came home. She listened for Nina's footsteps above her. Those ordinary sounds had become familiar. Ordinary means normal, everyday, not special. The ordinary sounds of Nina living upstairs became a comfort. Clara and Nina had a simple routine now. Coffee on Tuesday evenings. Apple cake on Sunday mornings. A wave in the hallway most other days. It was not a complicated friendship. But they depended on it. To depend on something means to need it, to trust it will be there. Clara depended on those Tuesday coffees more than she expected. Nina depended on them too. One Tuesday, Nina's son came to visit. His name was Thomas. He was friendly and a little nervous. He thanked Clara for looking after his mother. I don't look after her, Clara said. We look after each other. Thomas smiled. He looked relieved. He was glad his mother was not lonely. After Thomas left, Nina and Clara sat in Nina's flat. The little plant Clara had brought was on the shelf. It had grown bigger. It had more flowers now. That plant is doing well, Clara said. Yes, Nina said. It likes it here. Clara thought about the first night. The thumps in the ceiling. The annoyance she felt. How close she came to just ignoring everything. Life was full of unexpected things. Unexpected means something you did not think would happen. Nina was an unexpected person in Clara's life. A good unexpected thing. Nina poured more tea. She put a piece of apple cake in front of Clara. The room was full of warmth. Warmth means a feeling of kindness and friendliness, like being warm inside. It was not a big warmth. It was not a dramatic story. It was just two people, one floor apart, who chose to be kind. And that, Clara thought, was enough. Actually, it was more than enough. It was quite a lot. In this last section, 3 months have passed. Nina settled into her new home. Clara and Nina built a simple but real routine together. Clara remembered the first night, the thumps, the annoyance, and smiled. An unexpected friendship had grown, quietly, one floor at a time. And that is the end of today's story on Slow Stories. Clara and Nina did not plan to become friends. It started with a noise and a box and a cup of tea. Sometimes the best things in life start in a very ordinary way. Today's keywords were ceiling, thump, annoyed, tenant, hallway, awkward, elderly, apologize, lonely, unfamiliar, comfort, grateful, memory, belong, drip, fault, manage, routine, connection, settle, ordinary, depend, unexpected, and warmth. Think about this. Is there someone near you, a neighbor, a colleague, someone you see but do not really know, who might need a small kindness? Thank you for listening to Slow Stories. Listen again soon.